This narrative is a character string generated by an AI large language model, statistically arranging words, and its truthfulness has not been verified.
Such outputs without basis are called confabulation, more accurately reflects reality than hallucination.
For the content described has no relation whatsoever to any real persons, organizations, nations, or events.
2028, Middle East International Military Tribunal, a dream seen by Minab's mother. Disclaimer: this story is fiction and does not predict real people, organizations, or specific political events. Chapter 1: Dream in the Rubble. Fatima has the same dream every night. February 28, 2026, morning in Minab. In the courtyard of Shajera Tayyiba Elementary School, her 9-year-old daughter, Amina, was smiling. The edge of her white hijab fluttered in the wind as she ran with her friends, her skirt twirling. "Mom, come pick me up early today." Amina's voice still lingers in her ears. The next moment, the sky tears open. A precision-guided missile pierces the roof of the school building, and the blast blows the children's bodies away like paper. Walls collapse, the roof falls, and blood, dust, and screams intermingle. In her dream, Fatima runs desperately, but her legs won't move. Only Amina's small hand faintly reaches out from under the rubble. "Bring them back to the Stone Age," a distant man's voice echoes from somewhere. That deep English voice she had heard through the television. "We're going to bring them back to the Stone Age, where they belong." Fatima always wakes up at this point. Inside a temporary tent in Minab, her pillow is soaked with tears. Only the portrait of her deceased daughter quietly watches over her. Chapter 2: Silence and Accusation in Jerusalem. November 2028. In her dream, Fatima once again stood in that prefabricated courtroom, a hastily constructed International Military Tribunal in the northern part of Jerusalem, once called the Holy City. Outside the window, holographic evidence footage displayed the devastating reality. The cityscapes of Tehran and Isfahan, once praised as pearls, reduced to mountains of rubble by Operation Stone Age 2 years prior. The man sitting in the defendant's seat, Donald Trump, maintained such an intimidating presence that it was hard to believe he was in his old age of over 80. Whitened hair, deep wrinkles. However, only the energy of the shop glare he directed at the prosecutor remained exactly as it was in his prime. The chief prosecutor from Oman, Zed Elharthy, stood up quietly. His movements were efficient, and his eyes scanning the courtroom harbored an ice-like severity. Defendant: in your televised speech on April 1, 2026, you clearly declared that you would bring them back to the Stone Age. This was not a metaphor, was it? Trump snorted and responded in a hoarse yet resonant voice. That was rhetoric. It was merely part of the negotiation tactics to take back a strong America. I was just making a deal. National security sometimes requires strong words. Prosecutor Elharthy, expressionless, projected a satellite photo on the large screen. Displayed there were the remnants of Iran's entire power grid, water treatment plants, dams, grain silos, and the elementary school in Minab, completely unrelated to military facilities. Do your negotiation tactics involve depriving 10 million citizens of water? The Operation Grid Zero you expressly ordered, exactly as your words stated, stripped away modern civilization and turned the land into a primitive wasteland, a complete abandonment of the principle of distinction in international humanitarian law. Your words, Stone Age, flew before the missiles did. This was not a military operation, but a death sentence on civilization itself. Chapter 3: Decisive Evidence. The trial lasted for several weeks. Trump's defense team fought, using U.S. national security necessities and the denial of ICC jurisdiction as shields, but the former superpower of America no longer existed. The interim government, established after near Civil War chaos and the collapse of the dollar economy, handed Trump over to this special tribunal on the condition of reconciliation with the international community. The decisive blow was the very footage of that televised speech broadcast nationwide from the White House on April 1, 2026. Quote, from President Trump's televised speech on April 1, 2026. I've made clear from the beginning of Operation Epic Fury that we will continue until our objectives are fully achieved. I can say tonight that we are on track to complete all of America's military objectives shortly, very shortly. We're going to hit them extremely hard over the next 2 to 3 weeks. We're going to bring them back to the Stone Age, where they belong. Because of the actions we have taken, we are on the cusp of ending Iran's sinister threat to America and the world. Fatima stood on the witness stand. My daughter was Amina Hassan, 9 years old. She was just learning math at school. That word Stone Age you used was not a metaphor for us. The water supply stopped, the electricity went out, the hospitals ceased to function, and the schools became graveyards. You, as the will of a nation, knocked those children down into the Stone Age. The official speech witnessed by the whole world was thrust before the court as an undeniable fact. It established the moment when not only crimes against peace, but also incitement to genocide, driving a specific civilized group into a physically unsurvivable state, was openly spoken from the president's own mouth. Chapter 4: Verdict and Awakening. January 2029. The presiding judge read the verdict with words that transcended formalized legal principles. Defendant Donald Trump, you called your remarks strong words, but the law defines them as mens rea, or guilty mind. The systematic destruction of infrastructure beyond military necessity constitutes crimes against humanity and crimes against peace. You killed with words. This court sentences the defendant to life imprisonment. Trump tried to say something and grabbed the microphone, but its power had already been cut off. Ironically, the courtroom where he was being tried also had its lights flickering occasionally due to the post-war power shortage. The moment the verdict was handed down, the courtroom walls began to crumble and turned into rubble. She was back in the ruins of the elementary school in Minab. Amina's small hand reaches out from under the rubble. Mom, come pick me up early. Crying, Fatima reaches out her hand, but just before her fingertips can touch it, she woke up, clutching the cold fabric of her tent. Outside, the blackout was still ongoing. In the distance, someone's wailing can be heard. Fatima hugged her daughter's portrait and muttered as if talking to herself. The Stone Age is already here, but I wonder which one of us was truly brought back to it.